Let me go there. Okay. Huh. That's weird. So I was trying to get this other camera going. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Sheesh and shish kebabs. So anyway, there's this, I guess, yeah, there's this gap space when we talk on the phone that's like an allowance space. It's like maybe the metaphor is like you and I are talking across a wide stream and about these different land differences that we have, and that it's easier to do like a phone than it is actually to like, hey, come on over. I'm having a bunch of people over to my neighbor's house. My neighbor's
I guess I'll come back in when I can play.
Holy shit.
No, totally. I mean, the phone, it contains space. It doesn't have all this room. It's for live action to take place. So it's just has constraints better.
Well, and I think one thing that was confusing when I was out there was to the extent that I felt like your temperament was very retracted in my viewpoint, meaning it seemed as if you had put yourself under overt constraints, and that you were going to bring all of us to your constraints, and something felt very peculiar going out, because it felt like it was odd to land and have you throw up that you were, like I needed to take an Uber, even though you did, offer to pay for it later. Just that feeling, like landing with the notion that you were going to pick me up and instead I'm displaced to an Uber, which felt very cold right out of the gate, but understandable. But then to see the yogas, even when your family was there, like persist until we all went out and kind of got a little tore up there. Then it seemed like your pattern was shifting a bit at that point.
Anyway.
Okay. Well, so I don't know.
Topic.
I don't know if you had a metaphor for it, but
no. I mean, they're just observations. They're not incorrect. So I mean, I don't know what to add or not to add.
Is that because you prefer to live? You prefer your aloneness, or is it?
I definitely do. That has a big part of it, but. Yes, it's part of it. It's part of it.
Okay. Well, I just, I guess I didn't know.
Did you assume? I think that you have had some assumptions about who I am.
Well,
that are long held, and they've been incorrect. And I think lately, meaning within the last couple of years, you've been bumping up against them and seeing that they aren't correct.
And is there an inverse to that, or is there an opposite? Meaning, do you think that you found things out about me that you were assuming and that you were incorrect about, or was this strictly a unilateral sort of opinion?
No, I do think that we're both changing beings, and we've changed over time, and I think that where I have held assumptions about you that are still true, but they've only, the change has been that they've grown, I don't want to say more defined, they've actually become more swollen, like more filled. Yeah, like it's not like you're becoming a smaller person in my mind, you're becoming a much bigger person.
I'm becoming a bigger person.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I did not knew that you had a sense like that. I thought I didn't think I was becoming a bigger. Maybe I am, but I thought maybe it was just like a sense of verboseness. Maybe.
Yeah. Let's certainly adding to the 12.
Well, yeah, meaning I think I was just covering through all the like doing a lot of, I don't, yeah, maybe I was just expanding a bit.
But I think also one thing though that has changed over time, so as a subtraction, is I'm still locked in an idea of who you were when you were in your 20s and much more free to socialize among different people and in a less confrontational way. You've always had an element of confrontation to you, but maybe when you were younger, you were just less
Softer around the edges.
Oh no, I don't know. I don't call it soft, but there were
Smoother.
like you knew where boundaries were, and you knew not to
Yeah.
cross them.
Yeah.
Or now
Yeah.
the boundaries, you know they're there, and you cross them. They just don't have any sort of magnetism towards you, to you anymore. Like you know the boundaries are there, but they become just another. The boundary just becomes another element. It doesn't become a definition of activity.
Well,
And that's
I think that's
disturbing to me.
Say again.
I just said that's disturbing to me. It makes me feel really uncomfortable.
Well, and it was really weird because it seems as if I've been pushing boundaries to the point where, like to me, what had happened is that you had, like since the openness of your 20s, and I mean, we've gone through a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even the metaphors are going to break down, right? And you can go in one way, but my notion was that the boundaries in my world have always been being pushed, and maybe things are less kind. But the thing was, is I had the sense that you were enforcing a false belief of what, like the possibility in which the way people can interact socially, and so you were like putting up what I thought was a false policing or a false narrative, like a feigning of your character in order to retain a type of conservative retention or a conservative hold or mold or something like that. And that meaning, obviously I was pushing some boundaries, and I knew it was uncomfortable, but I also knew it was permissioned and that I was around adults. And
see, that's why it's so hard. It's so hard because you had the police come to my house.
I didn't have them come to your house. They happened to come to your house.
You got involved in something where the police came to my house.
A conversation.
Whether or not whatever it was.
Yes.
It happened.
Oh, right.
And so, I wasn't feigning conservatism at that point. I was genuinely frustrated, and stepping into this condition where I was going to be a guest in someone else's house. I didn't want that to get fucked up, and I couldn't just let you be any old way you wanted to be, I think I was called out to say, like, I need you to behave, like,
No. You are literally the only one that insisted upon that rule, and granted, your neighbor did, I guess, inform the police that I was there, And
You mean you guessed she did?
well, yeah, meaning I don't know which neighbor is the point, right? I was left, but I mean, I assume that I know who it is, but I thought, well, maybe it was somebody else, or
Did you
maybe I
talk
was
to
just
more
walking.
than one neighbor?
I talked to like two neighbors in two houses. And anyway, because I was just walking down to the street and they were out, and I just struck up a conversation and started chatting. And I had no idea, zero idea, that this idea was like that somehow just my presence, however, I was dressed or whatever it is I said or however it is I walked or whatever it was, got them that way. And I wasn't expecting it at all. Meaning I wasn't expecting the police to show up. And you could see by the way they just peeked in and said, "Oh, okay, bye." That it wasn't a big deal. It was some like benign event, right? And so that's why I felt like, wow, the way Kristen's going at everything from when I landed here just seems so like I felt as if it was just very, very kind of assumptively inconsiderate of the possibility of just my mere presence showing up in an area.
Right. Would you have just let me? I mean, would you have liked to just laugh it off and be like, "Oh my God, that's crazy, funny, and stuff"?
Well, it was hard to make a joke about because I mean, you had an intensity, kind of like you've turned yourself into wood. And
you don't think I was justified in having an intensity, especially under those conditions?
You had that intensity before I got off the plane.
Well, there were circumstances that drove me to that rigidity, and then yes, it started out one way.
But then
certain circumstances kept snowballing all throughout the day.
Yeah, but that wasn't my fault. That wasn't my fault. That was your doing. That wasn't my doing. That was your doing. And that's why I was like, why is Kristen this way? I thought she just carved herself out of wood, and somehow, I mean, granted, I'm stumbling over stuff, but I thought, how is it that I'm catching the shit into this?
How would you rather had me act then?
What?
What would you have rather have seen? What would have made it better?
Well, it just seemed like I mean, I'm glad we did a lot, but it just seemed like you were over constrained in the barn, and I think it was just a sense of like you were there out of utility. It seemed like, right? Like you weren't there.
I was where
you were having this party and this gathering, but when we showed up, it was like you were there as your own bolt for your own screwdriver. And I don't mean that in a narcissistic way, and in the slightest. I mean it in a like you were there as the plumber to show up and make certain everything was going okay. You were like the metaphor of the guy that came in to fix stuff. Meaning, it just seemed to me as if you weren't ready to have your own party that you invited everyone out to.
There's truth to that.
And I thought, well, and then I had to like fight over like, well, what? I mean, you've gone through a lot. You got your whole life, and I'm not privy to it. And I just thought, so I don't want to make assumptions as to how, why, or where everything came from. I just somehow thought, like, granted I was an odd, peculiar form, but I also thought, other factors and other things seemed in odd, peculiar form to me. And so it was just, it was interesting. It was interesting to see your family, be around your family, be around your friends, meet the people that even meet Pepper, hanging out with Pepper. That was wild, but it was also odd. But it was odd. It was fine. It was cool, but it was odd.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that Pepper had a coolness. Like he was able to relax through it. And granted, you did relax through some of your party there a little bit. It just seemed like it was a difficult process. Not like you weren't even the police person all the time, but it just seemed like you were having a very difficult time actually enjoying the everything. And I don't think that I was there as like the elephant in the room. But if you thought that I was, then that's a whole different thing as well.
No, I didn't think that at all. I thought the group melded nicely.
Yeah.
I did enjoy myself.
Oh, good.
And yes, I don't like parties. I find them difficult.
Yes, I think so.
But that one was actually
difficult.
No, it really wasn't. It really wasn't. It was really enjoyable. Like, it was so good to see everybody and have them be all in one space, and it felt comfortable being at that house and having all the space for people to be in and be comfortable.
I mean, your brother didn't call you up and said, "Man, that Mike guy's sure a dick," or did
No,
he?
Nobody said that. Nobody.
Yeah, no, I didn't think so. And I don't, that's why I was like, like, okay, so obviously the weird sense that we had felt like it was, like that's my description of your restriction, I guess is what I'm saying. And then, like I have to admit though, that when I went to New York, the constraints were even greater upon me than your constraints.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that part of the trip ended very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, where at least in your neck of the woods, like you got me out of town at the end of the day, like the scheduled plan. Right. So, and you did take me to the drop-off point, which was very interesting, getting on that bus and waiting around there. I waited there for a few hours actually, and met a few people, but not in any sort of like, I want to get to know you sort of way, or, a retention meeting. But it was a weird group going up on that Chinese bus up to New York.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Yeah, it was odd. It was odd. And then landing in New York, it was weird because the bus pulled right up, and it pulled into town, like, because you could see it going through Jersey and everything. And we're just getting ready to pull the bus over, and it pauses right by this car. And I look down, the license plate has like, it's a New York plate, but it says like 5666 YZ or something like that, right? And I just thought, like, New York is already starting out very beastly. So maybe I was going into New York in an odd state of mind at the time. Anyway, that's just an abstract non-segue into nothing particular. But so
what's been happening in Salt Lake since?
In Salt Lake politically, you mean?
No, since just anything.
Well, I've been taking Kratom. There's a Kratom and CBD store. There's
Man, I talked to this woman. She came into Lowe's the other day, and she just ordered a Kratom plant.
Oh, really?
And she was trying to grow it in her house, and it requires all these special conditions, and I get the tropical plants.
Yeah.
So I was helping her figure all that out. It's pretty funny.
Well, I hope. Yeah, I don't know whether or not Tennessee is a place to grow a lot of topical things. I have no idea how large it is. I just, it's just leaves that I'm consuming.
It's a small tree.
Yeah.
But no, it's going to be really hard. She has to totally create the conditions that are necessary for it.
Mm-hmm.
In her house, it's going to be hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is it helping?
a little bit, a little bit. So that's good news. I'm winding up a legal issue that I've been entangled in since July, and
Which
that
one?
looks well. That's one of those topics that I don't want to bring up on the stream. But well, okay, maybe I just should, right? But it's
Well, just tell me what case. It's not your community board thing, is it?
no, but it was probably performed because I was bored. But no, it's I'll just put it this way: it's related to dildonics, which I don't think I told anyone about that at your party, but maybe I did. Maybe I told your like that mom and the daughter that were nurses or something about that.
I don't know.
I don't know what to say about it. But anyway, it's all getting settled up. So, but it's been very stressful.
Is it getting settled?
Yeah, it's getting settled, and that's the thing, and that's what I'm happy about.
In your favor or not in your favor?
It's about split down the middle, but I'm okay with it. But I'm not mega happy with it, but I'm okay with it. Anyway, point is that's going in the direction that it's going. And so that to be honest, that's probably the single biggest relief that I've had, and that went through yesterday. And then another thing that's happening is instead of trying to get another roommate, I'm just revamping one of my rooms so I can do like an Airbnb. It's kind of the game plan on that. But anyway, so Canada just wrote, "Hey Doss, hush." So she's obviously not wanting me to have this type of discussion, but that's just her.
Is this being live streamed?
Yeah.
Well, on what's the broadcast mechanism?
Oh, it looks like it's not actually playing on people's ends according to her, but anyway.
Is this on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's the Doss Poop channel. Anyway, but I'm kind of silent there, and I have Discord silent in the background. Like this, I'll just hit the Oh well, shit. Maybe they're
not actually playing on people's ends according to her, but anyway. Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's the Doss channel. Anyway, but I'm kind of silent there, and I have Discord silent in the background. Like this, I'll just hit Oh, well, shit, maybe they're not actually playing on people's ends according to her, but anyway.
Let me turn that volume down.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Anyway, so there's that, and then this group that I'm listening to, I could drop the link into that Discord server, which would be interesting. I haven't done that, but I thought, maybe I should do that. But then really the point I was trying to do, I wasn't expecting you to call. I was just expecting to paint and have my camera on the painting, but it looks like, that's just a little bit, well, maybe it's not all that difficult. Although it is difficult because I'm looking at something as partial reference online. So anyway, I feel like I'm whining. Anyway, so what else is new? My dad's gone into the hospital a few times, and that's nerve-wracking. And so I'm not happy with that. And
Are they diagnosing him with anything?
no, not really. They put a heart monitor on him though, to record the pace of his heart because his heartbeat's getting a little wonky. Yeah, so that's not. But before it was like he'd get a stomach ache and then he would faint. And so that was the hallmark, a stomach ache and fainting. And then he'd go to the hospital. And this is like number, I guess, 5 even to the point where, my mom is not even calling us until, he's already at the hospital, that kind of stuff. Like this is, this is too routine now. It might be like the new routine, or the new periodic routine. And anyway, she's keeping her temperament, well put together. So, she's like, well, hey, Mike, I'm, don't get worried. I'm not going to react like something's going to happen until it happens. Right. I'm just
right.
And so even though I'm a wreck, cause it's, it's not the greatest thing to sense, So anyway, I got so this camera that I'm using isn't working on that laptop. So I gotta at least record myself painting. So I'm gonna be yanking this camera out and putting it over on this other computer. But no, we're still live on there. Nah, that's not gonna work either. I was bummed. Anyway, so and then what else? I mean, how's Pepper? How's the job? How's stuff? Or do you not want to talk?
Pepper's gone. He's in San Diego. I haven't heard anything from him since he left.
When did that happen?
So, I don't know. Maybe a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. I'm not really sure.
Oh, wow. Interesting. I mean, were you guys not hanging out before he took off much, or what? Or were you hanging out every day and then he takes off, or?
We were not hanging out every day. Just occasionally. And then one night he came over, or he was here when I got off work or something. And he told me that night he was leaving the next day.
Oh, wow.
And so I we left his car here, and I took him to his hotel, and I helped him buy his plane ticket because he couldn't do it online over his phone, so I did it on my computer, and took him to his hotel room that night, and he left the next day, and I think we had maybe one text message exchange.
Oh, really?
Since he's been there, he had me act as a reference for him to get an apartment. So I did that, and then I haven't heard anything from him at all. So,
wow,
which is fine. It's better, definitely better that way.
It's better that way.
And
is it better?
But I've been trying to sell all of his stuff.
Oh.
So I haven't. I mean, he wants me to sell it, so I just haven't had any bites on it. But as soon as I get it sold, then we'll talk. So that's that.
That is wild, actually. Huh. Well, so was that? I mean, that didn't whip you weird, I guess. I guess you were.
No, not at all.
That's good.
It was very. I mean, it was how he does things. Just all of a sudden, fed up with his job and fed up with everything and hates everything and nobody does anything good enough for him and just all the shit. So, like, whatever, okay.
Wow.
Bye.
Wow.
I mean, I've heard it all a million times, and it sucks. But I hate it. It's just ugly, and
What was
I
it?
don't
A
miss
complaint
it.
machine, you mean, or?
Yeah, totally.
Oh,
Total complaint machine, like just misery machine.
huh.
And
Well,
it's sudden, and it's, it just picks up and leaves, and left me with his car to sell, bags of trash in it, and tools that were mine that were at his job site that he left behind.
tools that were
Other
yours?
tools that belong to his job site that are here, and just like left, it was just a mess.
Yeah. Wow.
I bought his train ticket and then forgot to get money for it. He's like, I got the money in my hotel room and I forgot to get the money from him, so now he owes me $200, but I'm selling all the stuff for him. I'll get the money eventually. He was like, sell the stuff, but
Yeah.
it's messy.
Yeah. Wow. That's kind of messy a little bit.
It's very messy. Because he's such a fragile personality that he can't be stable enough to do anything in a grown-up way,
Well,
So,
I don't know. I thought he seemed professional. He seemed like he was trying to get stuff done, and wasn't like he knew how to do his tree cutting job. Like
Yeah.
he knew what was up with
well,
that.
he puts off a good front, that's for sure. And partially he is that way, but when it comes to any kind of long term, he just fails at it.
Huh.
But
Wow.
so that's that.
Well, so and then what to say? I've been riding the bus a lot. That's what's killing me. Anyway, I met this older guy because I told him, I had to go down to the library to start working on the case. And, a day before this last session, and I was going to try to attack a certain aspect of the legal code again and the previous rulings in the case. And I didn't have to bring that out. I mean, I was debating whether or not I was just going to not do that or definitely do that. And so I definitely didn't do it based on the information I was given. And so I was like, I was okay. It was okay to not put up a necessary fight when they stopped kind of fighting. Like I didn't feel like I was under threat anymore by the charges,
I see.
Because I was given other people the keys to my place because I didn't know if I was going to be, there's a legal thing called being bonded, right? Which I normally thought meant you do a bondsman, you bond out of jail. But
bonded, but that's when you're insured.
Yeah, but like a bail bondsman is still a bondsman.
Mm-hmm.
And then they asked somebody to sign on that. Anyway, for whatever reason, I thought it was possible that that at the end of this hearing that I was going to be bonded. And they said, no, that we're just saying you're bonded over to the next step legally. And,
I see.
Yeah, so it was like, oh, okay, bonded over for trial or bonded over for another hearing or bonded over for arraignment or something like that. But anyway, I still don't have an arrest number. So the case is, I agree that I have to go in and basically get fingerprinted so that they can complete the whole process that we're basically agreeing to. And so that's got me a little bit bummed. Anyway, and it also, it's class B misdemeanors, and So I'm dealing with kind of minor stuff, but still like it's annoying, and it's not, it's not like my favorite cup of tea.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm kind of right there.
When do you get your license back?
I get my license back in December. So basically all the legal case with the HOA, that's over. I passed my driver's license division case, meaning I'm letting it expire, and stuff. So.
And then is that the last of your legal troubles?
Well, and then this is the last. Once this is all done, then that's the last of my legal problems. At least, for the time being. What can I say?
Time being.
Who knows when the.
So you walk down the street again in Tennessee. Right.
Yeah, no, and that was I love going down, even following you guys on that scooter. I was a little bummed that you had fully talked me away from going into Jimmy Buffett's, only because of its mythic connection, but that wasn't an issue that I had, just more like a bummer. And so anyway, but I love going down there. I love that downtown area and the Kid Rock thing and all the places that we did go. I had a hoot. I thought it was wild. It was a great experience. It was unlike any other place. And your Iowa lady friends were very kind and very nice and kind of fun. And I wish I went up to meet Pete Buttigieg. You got so upset when I said Buttigieg. You were just like, how dare you, Mike?
Well, because he has a correct name and you know how to say it, but you refuse.
I didn't know how to say it at the time. I thought Buttigieg it was funny enough, and I didn't actually know how to pronounce his name because he wasn't all over the news then, and he wasn't going around saying it. No one was like saying it in front of me, so I was like, and then the memory of the name was weird. But anyway, all my point is that you were so upset, like, yeah, just like that, like he's got a name. Well, I'm not addressing him, You're
addressing about him. That's enough.
Well, it's because he's a symbol of whom you respect. I thought that the freedom that I would be allowed to talk wouldn't have been.
Oh, there you go with your freedoms again. To be who you are.
Well, I joked about that before I was out there, and I still didn't correctly have his name down. And so when I sensed the stumble, I just said it. And I don't even think that you corrected me. You didn't correct me. You just said that, like, how dare me for saying that? Like, it was more like you were really upset. Like,
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think you're exaggerating a little bit, again, to make some stupid joke. But
well, no, I mean, but you can't say I thought that you weren't.
I just think that you are being disingenuous by saying you don't know his name and then trying out all these extra cursory attempts to say his name, but when you're not really being genuine and saying that you don't know his name.
No, now I can say it Buttigieg. At the time, I could not have said Buttigieg, right? So I wasn't being disingenuous. So and I thought, well, that's not, that's one of our experiential differences there, and I didn't know that. In some respects, politics, whether you're involved in them or not, it seems as if it's more like a personal issue, right? And I'm not saying politics can't become personal, but I just thought, like, how is this and that's what I liked about your brother, right? Is that the political difference was not an issue; it was an issuance. It was an interaction, and it was an okay interaction. It was a healthy engagement. But I didn't feel stonewalled, right? I didn't feel stonewalled by your brother. I did think it was interesting when he kept saying legal. We want to be legally, right? And he moved his hand just like Trump. It was an interesting thingy-majingy. behavior.
I know. I've thought a lot about that conversation. Or it wasn't really a conversation. It was really just listening to him.
Well,
Thought a lot about that almost every day.
really? Every day?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it was so weird for you?
It was eye-opening. I never knew my brother was political at all. Like, I never knew he thought about politics or had an opinion on any of it. And to see him speak out like that and so fervently, I just saw a whole new side of my brother I've never seen before, nor did I ever think he would ever have.
Well, but that I also thought maybe it was like him preparing to meet Pepper, I guess, even though he's met him before, apparently. I kind of thought like maybe your brother was prepping for Pepper, and that I just kind of showed up.
No, that's ridiculous.
Well, I'm just spitballing right now, you know. I didn't, because I wasn't privy to the idea that your brother wasn't always of that, you know, ilk or temperament.
Yeah, no, never. He's never, ever. I've never heard him speak out on anything.
But that's
or,
why.
On the other hand, his wife is different. Like, she's always had an opinion about stuff. But my brother, like, I guess he just lurked in the background. He wasn't being quiet. He was doing. But I'm now looking back on, you know, he's just been stewing all these years. And I've just been trying to place it, like, where and how
I thought
he has arrived at all of this.
Maybe because he raised your brother and he thinks it's like the better future environment based on the something or another, or
raised my brother.
No, meaning he raised your nephew. Your brother raised your nephew is what I meant. And so maybe he was trying to, like, maybe he thought, I mean, maybe he felt somehow with all of his experience that's the way his political views are. And
I don't know.
But I found it so counter opposite to you.
I don't even know. It doesn't. I don't think it's useful to speculate. I'd rather hear it from him. It's just a question I'm formulating and want to ask him the next time I see him. Like, tell me where and how, you know.
I mean, do you think your mom was shocked by his political views, or do you think anyone else was shocked by them, or were you just...
I have no idea. I'm much less concerned about what other people think than just trying to parse out how I am.
Oh. Well, why is it, well, how are you then with it? I mean...
I find it deeply disturbing.
You found it disturbing? Like Buttigieg or butt check? Do you find, was it more disturbing than butt check, or about the same disturbing as butt check?
I find you calling him butt check a stupid joke.
No, I know, but because it's a stupid joke, is it?
So no, it doesn't at all compare. Where
it doesn't,
coming from a genuine place that my brother's genuinely, deeply embedded in his viewpoints.
But isn't your sister-in-law like kind of backing him on that?
Of course she is.
But you think she's genuine with her opinion about it?
They're in lockstep.
Yeah.
You know, together.
Well, and so, but then that's what, I guess that's why I found things weird in that you didn't like it. Like maybe that's the overall critique, because I wondered whether or not your being was becoming politicized as you're like trying to live through this era of your life in all of the dynamic aspects of it than mine. I mean, even though I'm filed as a candidate, right? Like, I feel like I released some political held notion that other than a vote, everything else is like a type of posturing. Meaning, because unless you're going to get into a political discussion, and if it's anything other than that, then it's like an impassioned yearning for something that's outside of my control. Like, I can't control what's going on that level, right? And so people that become...
Well, I think there's some people I think in a way my brother and I mirror each other. We're just on opposite sides where
Yeah.
of the discussion.
Yeah, but
And
yeah.
but it's not because I mean I feel like the way that I take control of the situation that I don't have any control over is by arming myself with knowledge. Whether or not that works or not, I don't know, but it makes me feel better knowing, like, you know, digging in and trying to understand the process makes me feel better, you know. And I feel like that's part of what Brooke is searching for too. I wonder. I don't know. Again, like I really hesitate to speculate because it's unfair, I think, to him. I'd rather just hear it from him, you know.
Well,
I don't know what it is.
But what do you mean hear it from? You did hear it from him. What do you mean hear it from him?
I want to hear where in his life, like what led him. Like I have my own journey towards coming. I have my own journey towards gaining an interest in understanding what's going on in our political world. There's been a journey towards that, and I think that he's probably been on a journey too. And I'm curious to know. I want to know what that was. Like, tell me what that was. Like,
well, but
what have you seen throughout your life which has made you seek out information? Because he's obviously been seeking out information.
Well, but you went and dilatedly lived in these other countries where he's gone on extended trips, and you know, so meaning your scope might be more, you know, like everyone's general lowest common denominator's welfare, where, you know, like part of I coupled in the capitalistic aspect of the profitability of selling houses over time, something that they were expressing as almost like we got into that discussion after the political discussion, I do believe, because it seemed as if their sense of economy was also wrapped up in the political view, you know, such that even an immigration stance, if for whatever reason he thought the welfare of your nephew in the future was problematic, I think he thinks that, you know, if it's not the way you're, you know, the bang up job that your nephew's done, but also on his body, so like the healthcare system and his parents' relationship to how it is they earned money and like their sensibility. Meaning, I think I'm not certain what homegrown's the temperament necessarily of somebody that thinks Donald Trump's doing great because of his upholding capitalism per se.
You have to understand that Christopher, his son, makes more money than any of us. Any of us. So that doesn't really factor into your speculation about
that, right?
His motivation.
Well, right, but you know, and so maybe that's the thing, though. If under maybe he thinks, you know, under socialism or under competition from South American workers, something like that, like meaning.
I don't think it's anymore. I don't think it's that complicated. My brother works in construction. He's seen his labor field.
You think it's just the company
taken over by Mexicans, and he doesn't like it.
Oh, okay. Well, there is that. Just the simple not liking it. You know, maybe he feels left out. Maybe he's not fluent enough in Spanish. You know.
That's totally it. But then again, I still want to hear it from him.
But have you gone out of your way to contact him and talk about it, or is that something you just?
I will. I when I go see, I'm going home for Christmas. I'll see him then. I'll ask him then.
Wow, those will be interesting discussions to find out what goes on. But then what happens if he, you know, assumes like that you're being overreactive in your left, you know, whatever political positions that you hold, such that your joking buddy Mike
well,
can't say
I-
butt check
I
without
already know that I'm the enemy, so that's okay. He can.
well, but I mean, you're not
Doesn't
my
think it's gonna bother me.
enemy. I don't think you're my enemy.
I'm the enemy to my brother.
Right, but I don't necessarily think that your views are aligned or ally with mine either.
You're not my brother.
No, I know I'm not your brother. So it will be interesting though to see what's happening. I'm just saying that because as much as my views may be aligned to you, I'm just wondering to what extent has your brother recoiled in expressing maybe a critique of your political views, right?
I'm sure that's also what I want to hear. I want to hear him.
Yeah, but
that's the other thing. It's like
I'm just saying, what's
that's
the worst?
The other
Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, please. That's the other thing is I've had an assumption about how my brother has thought of me that now I'm realizing has this specific character that is now dialed in. I am the enemy. But before, I never thought that I would. I mean, just my brother. I never thought that we would have this position.
Well,
and that's not my definition. He's not my enemy. He is a person who has a viewpoint, and I'm curious about his viewpoint, and I actually want to know all about it. Tell me more.
Maybe you think that
I know in his mind, I'm assuming that whatever viewpoint I have is flawed and should be corrected in a certain way, which is fine. I'm willing to go into that.
Your view needs some correcting.
If you feel so inclined.
Sorry, I also think, that's my Nazi notion. I'm just cracking myself up. Like your view needs correcting. Like you're on, you're on some, McHale's Navy, I think is what it was called. Maybe that's not it. Where the prisoners are captive in the Nazi prison camps and the guard is a Nazi, but it's kind of like a comedy.
Well, there are some people that see things in such clarity, like if they had got stuff all figured out and everyone else is just a matter of correcting them, No,
I know. Well, and
my brother may fit into that category. I don't know.
Well, I felt bad that I didn't make it up to Iowa with your friends.
But I think it's important to start out in talking with people like that, just handing over the reins to them and saying, okay, do whatever it takes to make your case and correct me.
Right.
Because sometimes that's the only way you're going to get out their story,
My
I want to hear their story. That's what's more important to me than actually getting to the truth of some kind of matter. I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, maybe you should record it also, because I don't know.
I don't need to record it. It's nothing that needs to be held on to for time.
In case you are his enemy and not his friend, so at the age of 80, you guys can't sit down and watch a recording you had at this?
I think that would be pathetic if that's what we did at 80.
What else are you going to do at 80? Go run a marathon? Is that what you want to do?
Sure.
Right. Okay. So that's not pathetic, but somehow watching a political history between the two of you would be pathetic. That shows your temperament.
Yeah. Replaying a conversation that we already had 40 years ago.
Just the act of this recording.
Even if you and I did that, I would just find that completely boring.
Well, I'm sure. Maybe. Okay, that's fine. But it's just weird that. I think that's it, right? That you put your tastes above expanding the difference between yourself with other people.
Right, you're right. I'm just completely missing an opportunity to just go on this expansion of my consciousness.
No, I just mean
You're
like
right.
an allowance, like expand an allowance. No, I didn't mean it
Right.
like you're investigating your conscience. You think the way you think. I'm not trying to say you don't. I'm just saying, like, and you did extend yourself, but it's interesting that you didn't take this visceral political thing and respond like more precisely to the moment than, I mean, if it was an authentic like you really put yourself in check, I guess, relative to your family. And I did not know you were going through that with him or with them in the way that you had. I felt as if my interaction in certain respects with all of your family members had a wompy influence on me. Wompy, not even necessarily in like the negative connotation of womp, just like, wow, what a personage to spend this many days around under the conditions that we did. I mean, we got a little plowed downtown, and we were in the car and we were shopping, and meaning it was an eventful multi-day experience,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. And so I guess a lot of my, like, I held back the idea like I should contact you until I figured out how to deal with the fact that I'm also not planning on talking to Michael Falcon ever again. Like I have this, like I cut, like the way that ended, and you don't know anything about it, but the way that ended was not, it was not kosher treatment, meaning he put his pretensions all over me as a type of constraint and an ultimatum. And I found it, like, it just pissed me off. Like it just gave me zero leeway to actually be me. Like he wanted a puppet of me the way he wanted it. Like he was trying to order me up at a Jewish bakery or something. And I just,
you don't deal well with that at all.
Well, meaning if he prefaced it, but he didn't preface it. He gave it some ultimatum, and I thought, look, if there's zero, like cops show up, you're still okay with me there. You're not like kicking me out or taking me to the airport or bringing me to the bus down station that night or something. Like you got over it. He couldn't get over shit, and the shit he couldn't get over was to the extent that we were different than the time that we were when we hung out in Venice. But so and yet the difference that he wanted of me, I we just weren't eye to eye at all. But we did survive each other for about 5 hours before everything went kind of crashing down. But it was supposed to be 8 days. Then it went to 3 days, he said. Then it went to a couple of hours. Then it was denied, and then it was brought up again, and then I was out. So that really pissed me off. Yeah. But then again, I had also gone to London, and I was yelling like, I'll fight all of y'all, you Euro trash. Like I yelled that one drunken night in London. And it didn't even apply in London, but it kind of did. But it was just rotten. It was just a rotten moment. And then somehow I get into trouble with the law, and then I'm out there hanging out in Nashville, and then I'm hanging out in New York, and Anyway, and then I mean, I can't scapegoat you, right? You're doing you. But it is interesting that you want to find this distinction between you and your brother because
Find it.
Well, yeah, meaning, well, okay, it's been found, the distinction's been found, but to find the cause, or I don't know, I guess I don't know exactly what you're questioning of him particularly. Like, what are you going to ask? Like, what would be the first question you would ask him about that topic, that is?
Just give me your history, your political history.
No, not mine. Your brother. Like if you were having a conversation
That's
with,
him. That's what I would ask him.
you would ask him to give you a brief sense of his political history, like how he came to it. You say, okay, huh, huh. And so what presumed reasons do you speculate or spitball as to why he might have what he has? Like,
I don't think it's useful to speculate.
you don't think
I
what?
really don't. I don't think it's useful to speculate. Oh crap.
To speculate. Okay.
Yeah, hold on.
Huh.
Come here, puppy. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead. I should go back and check on the chat. I haven't looked at the chat in a while here. What's going on? Oh, good old Bolt filling it up again. His loss. Too bad for him. Laugh out what a rip-off artist he sounds like. Sounds like a narcissist. This guy. Good. He's gone. What kind of stuff is he selling? Hardship, mother rides, hush and spend thought, shit, where, Jake, what the fuck? Wow, she's just been feeling this thing, kind of. 007, 005, 00 backwards 2, dude, where have you been? Dus. Oh, that's Rob C. Oh, yeah. It's been a while since I've seen that guy. I did see one of your videos recently. But then, okay, so Kristen, not that you're there. It's more like I wanted to know, like, how, like, let's say your brother's really adamant that abortion is like one of the worst things a person could do, right? Let's say he's adamant about that. How do you come to argue the opposite of that political opinion?
Well, if we had to argue, then I would get into it. But if we don't have to argue, then I'm not gonna.
No, not that you and I have to argue. I'm just saying if your brother.
I wasn't talking about you and I. Just in general.
Well, okay, I'm just double checking there then, because you made it very apparent that I'm not your brother, and that's a fact. But I did, we did pick gorilla cooties out of each other's armpits back in the day, so kind of qualifies as a brotherly aspect of our history. For the viewing audience that was wondering. Well, but my question is to you, basically, like, how do you come to that? How do you now come to the abortion argument? Like, because I assume that you would take that up. Like, that would be a huge political issue, like with damning consequences for those who tried to strip abortion rights from women, that you would absolutely freak.
I don't think it's necessary to absolutely freak.
You don't think you would absolutely freak?
No.
Oh.
What's the point of freaking over something if someone's set in their opinions about something? There's no point in it.
That's
why I don't even think it's even worth the argument.
Right, but that's also why
I'm not going to change their mind.
Yeah, well, sounds just investigative. But I thought you held like a political standard, like, and that's how I guess I didn't understand why.
Of course, I hold a political standard, but that doesn't mean I have to be a bully pit for it.
No, I know, but I mean,
I'll make the case where it needs to be made. But if someone takes a position and they're deeply invested in it,
yeah,
there is, unless you have like more than just a single sitting down with them, you're not going to change their mind about anything.
Well, but that's what like, is that your goal, is mind changing, or is it just questing?
No, it's not my goal. Like, with my brother, I'm not going to change his mind. I want to know what he thinks and why. That's more important to me than changing his mind.
Yeah. Okay. Huh.
way more important to me. I mean,
Well-
not to say that I would. I mean, if I felt I needed to interject something, I will, but it's not the main subject.
Well, but you referred to him as your enemy earlier on.
Well, by his definition, he's not my enemy.
Oh, he called you his enemy?
No, I'm assuming that.
Oh, okay. So there's one assumption we got out of you. Okay, that's what I was
And I
curious.
said that. I said that from the beginning. I'm assuming that I'm the enemy.
Oh, I thought you just said he's your enemy, and then you
No, he's
mentioned that.
definitely not my enemy. No.
Well, I didn't think your brother was your enemy. I just meant like maybe your brother's political positions were your enemy. Yeah.
No, not even that.
Oh, wow. Wow. Anyway, I thought that I thought that everything was cool. I was going over the, like all the people that were there in my head after the fact, like just the way the interaction was. And I thought overall, like, I don't know how everything like settled out for you after everyone took off. You know what I mean? I haven't talked to you
great.
since then.
I was really happy with everything.
Oh, good.
It was a really fun couple of days. Super fun. I felt very satisfied.
Good. Well, and because I felt good that I got my razor back and I sent that picture to you, and then you sent me one text like, "Oh, is that what you got back in the mail?" or something like that. And I said, "Yeah," and then the conversation just kind of ended right then. I was like, after that huge experience, that was a weird kind of stopping point.
That was a huge experience.
Well, the whole going out, my whole trip was
Oh.
a huge experience.
Oh.
For me, I was like, wow, that's a huge experience. That was unlike any other trip that I've had. So I thought it was peculiar. I thought it was memorable. And I didn't even have good video of it, or mini photos of it, which was a little bit of a bummer. Like the drunk girl outside of the bar, going down the sidewalk or going into Jimmy Buffett's or going across the street diagonal. You're just looking in at the back of a band. Like you walk by a bar and it's open window and you're seeing the back of the band stand out. That's something that, like here, there'd definitely be a window between you and the band. It wouldn't be an open bar, like that. So I thought it was just a weird societal grouping. I guess maybe it was the structure of the businesses. I don't know. But I also like the company too. Like I liked your Iowa friend ladies. I thought like I got along with them nicely, even though I don't know how they were with me or you or me there, and I wasn't too worried about it, but I didn't know how they were about it. But I just know like, whatever you might tell me on it, I don't know whether or not how I would absorb a critique of other people commenting on, maybe the same thing that you felt restrictive about relative to me visiting, your presumptions about our differences. Anyway, but it's not super important, but it is weird. It is weird. Meaning I haven't talked to your brother either.
That's a shame. You should call him up.
Call him. I'm calling you so I can report back to Kristen. But yeah, your mom, man, when she got ripped, that was kind of funny.
My mom got ripped.
Well, a little bit, not ripped, like had a couple drinks, like she told me, she's like, well, after everything that Kristen's done for you, I think that you need to take care of her.
She told you that?
Yeah, and it was weird. And that's before they pushed our two drunk beings towards each other so we could hug before we all drove home. And I think on our drunk night out,
Huh.
before we went into the parking garage. It was, that was something else. Let me see if I can get this. I'm painting a couple together from so it's a weird painting so far. I should turn the camera around actually, but I'm kind of utilizing it.
I think I'm gonna get off the phone now.
Well, great. And what when we're 70 though, we're gonna watch this video. And you're gonna like it.
All right. Well, I'll excuse myself from the room at that point too.
And go run a marathon. Okay.
Go run a marathon.
Well, wonderful. Glad having you visit the Mike Feld experience.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. Let's do it again.
You're welcome. I'll have you back on in the future. All
Such
right.
a nice time. Thank you so much.
Well, okay, but before you do go, like I enjoyed the effect and the experience by far more than any pithy criticism I've developed of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm glad we talked. It's been a while.
Okay.
All
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Have a good one.
Bye.
Anywho, I think I'll put on Discord and read some comments and put on some Discord. Careful, DOS. DOS is always here. Dude, where have you been? Pound DOS. Public transit is good, Dodd. Anyway. Okay, so StreamYard might need to come to an end, although I think I'm going to put on a little Discord just for a moment because I can.
You guys, this is why you guys call Sam Harris dumb, right? Sometimes you don't understand the assault. Well, I think that the assault was created like from David Hume, and like he was kind of like trolling. Like it was a trolling argument. He didn't subscribe to that shit. Can you show me where he didn't subscribe to that shit? Like I think he thought he was like a moral realist. Can you show me where he didn't subscribe to that shit? Where he didn't think that what he was saying was correct? No. Well, I've talked to James. He probably knew a lot about Hume. He was signing off on that. I've talked to JC about the Azad too.
See, this guy knows nothing about Hume.
The
kid talking about Hume. Has never read
I barely got into, I'm getting into postmodernism a little bit, right? And some of the most common critiques that these smart people lay on postmodernism is that it's lacking the utility, and these people who think they're being so profound are actually not saying anything at all. And it's because they're just not saying anything of utility in relationship to our reality and our lives. And this is the same thing that's happening with the Azad.
To our lives.
Like every time you guys point to the Azad as a problem, people like Sam Harris come out and say, listen, please stop saying it's a fucking problem. It's not a problem. The more you guys keep saying it's a problem, it's going to be a problem because of cultural relativism. That's his whole fucking life's goal, is to show people that there are right and wrong answers to the question of well-being. And then you guys just say, oh, well, the Azad, why are you saying that well-being is, why? Like, you guys literally just say, who are you to correlate well-being to morality? And then you just guys say, oh, you're a fucking idiot. Yeah.
See, these guys are very political compared to Kristen's non-exposition of her political perception.
So yeah,
but who
like
cares?
this is all David Hume would not approve of the way his Izal is invoked in every dialectic these days. He would hate it. Well, I could agree with that. Maybe it's not. But that's not the claim that you're making. It's not that simply. Oh, he might not agree with every single way it's used. Yeah, that's probably true. There's a lot of people that might use it incorrectly. Hume would have agreed with Sam Harris. Right? Doesn't matter what you think he would have said. Sam Harris.
See, listen to these
the
guys.
People who hate Sam Harris the most, they invoke David Hume's philosophy. Right?
He's like the young shit
that's where
talker who
irony
knows
lays,
he's just
like,
being
these
the
people
young
don't
shit talker.
understand how dangerous it is to attack, like this idea that you cannot correlate morality to well-being. Like, that is such a dangerous fucking idea, and it seems like it's taking a lot of people too long to catch on to that. Oh,
What,
snap.
like hate speech?
And like I said, man, it's just fucking is off. Every time, that's why I just feel like I'm a evolutionary-based thinker. I think, like, I'm kind of a pragmatic thinker. Okay, buddy. Because if you're not, you run into these rabbit holes where it's like, you're fucked. Like, these postmodernist rabbit holes of deconstructionists. The cringe hole. Get it all out of your system now, bud.
I just want to take him down, moving him up like a
I mean, I'm listening to your podcast, but I've been listening to Cuck Philosophy's. No, I've been listening to Cuck Philosophy's critique. It's like an hour long of Stephen Hicks' book called An Explanation of Postmodernism or something like that.
Yeah.
Like Stephen Hicks tried to steelman postmodernists, tries to explain like the most influential thinkers and what they think, and then he invokes his own defeater, so to speak, like he challenges it. And Cuck Philosophy. Like, I've been getting into it right now, but like I said, I've already got a red flag. I'm trying to explain that it seems like we have a major issue where we can't dial in. Like for example, if we have a cultural phenomenon that we think is influenced by postmodern philosophy, it's almost impossible to explain it without everyone or a lot of people just easily being able to say, that's not what postmodernism means. It sucks. Because we're just trying to say, like, people just, it's not that influential, it's just not what postmodernism is doing. And long story short, we do have people misusing, I don't care what you guys would call it, the philosophy to conclude things about the world.
Maybe it's maybe it's.
So that was my main point of coming in here tonight, was to show all of you that you haven't really addressed some of the most, like, cookie cutter things. I did address what you said. Relativistic thinking. Like, you haven't addressed both things, John. Like, the problem... Are we literally starting this over, John? Are you fucking kidding me? I actually have a question related to this. John, you say we haven't addressed this postmodernist thing. Did you address getting the GED yet? You're just gonna talk shit. Let me finish. I wasn't trying to upset you guys. But you've been talking shit for 2 hours, right? Like, I'm just right now. Here's the whole point, though. There's this extremely relativistic thinking, this like the ideas of the is-all and things like that, that you guys really just haven't really addressed yet, like Sam Harris has. Like, you guys, you quit regurgitating. Yeah, that's all you've been doing, dude. You're saying nothing new. You've been saying the same thing for 2 fucking hours.
2 months.
I've asked you guys many times over in the last hour what you guys think, and I've gotten nothing at all. You think it sounds compelling, but you try to just explain to you guys that you guys should stop acting like you're so neutral. Are you pretending that Joe Vaughn or JJ have not been talking? Is that seriously what you're doing right now? Joe Vaughn was the only one who acted like they had. So what? Well, that's what I've been asking for, is opinions on these ideas. Shut the fuck up. You've just been getting upset and screaming. Like, I'm sick and tired of hearing you. I'm sick and tired of hearing you. You got anger issues. Because you're just an old man. You don't know the Come on, if you don't like it, just log off. It's easy. You're just a dumbass old man. You don't know John John's intelligence. You don't know what he's saying ideas about people's. You guys should start addressing these issues. That's all I'm saying. You guys keep saying Sam Harris is such a fucking idiot, yet doesn't even understand what he's attacking. what his goal is, what he's trying to address. This relativistic thinking. Yeah, I know, it's tough being old. So start understanding that Sam Harris is attacking this relativistic thinking and understand it a little bit more. Because I think why the fuck do we care what Sam Harris says? I do understand. You guys would be heavily motivated to try to attack them. I acted like, shut the fuck up. I acted like this is strong. Shut the fuck up, you Florida piece of shit. Jesus. I do understand. I do understand Sam Harris's position. It's fine. It's just what I would call a relativistic view. I'm cool with that, dude. After I said that great shit, but anyway, look, I like Sam Harris as much as the next guy, but I don't suck his dick like he's the fucking second coming. It's like he's just a human. Yeah, he has some ideas, but he can still be wrong about shit. I don't follow them blindly. Like, you gotta knock this off. You're missing the point. Like, the point is that relativistic thinking is really dangerous. There's a lot of suffering that we can attribute to that kind of thinking. Just to give you a quick example, a cookie cutter example, look at all the, look at like how dangerous are here in America, right? Our feminists here cry about women's rights, but they turn a blind eye. Here we go. The reason why they turn a blind eye in the Muslim communities, the reason why they can even get away with something like that is because of this relativistic thinking, this cultural
John, if relativistic thinking is dangerous, how should we be thinking?
Right? Who are we to judge the Muslims?
How should we be thinking, John?
You don't want to relate. You don't want to be a relativist. John Johnson.
It's incorrect to say that feminists turn a blind eye to the Muslim community. What?
That's retarded. Like, do you know how many of them complain about like women getting oppressed in different countries? What I mean by that is like women being covered up in burqas, not being allowed to drive. Like, for example,
you think feminists don't rail against that constantly? Are you saying that?
Can you show me any? Like,
dude, there's. Oh my god.
John, what do you say?
Take me a minute, but I could.
What do you say? Okay, here's my question to you, John. What are you saying would change?
What you say,
if a large majority of us all of a sudden gave up on relativistic thinking? Do you think we would go to war, or we would invade all these countries that have these ideologies that you don't like, so we can stamp them out? I mean, what is your ultimate goal in saying that this kind of thinking is problematic for the human race? My ultimate goal is for people to never, ever get caught up in these ideas of who are we to judge our neighbors because we have our ideas, they have theirs. Like, this is what we're seeing in the Muslim community. We see terrible backwards behavior in terms of women are huge problem, and no one says anything about it. Hey, John, I just posted something. That's the type of thinking that becomes dangerous. Like, for example, there's tons of Muslims who come out and speak out against being treated. Good, it's just monologuing. Yes, he is. Uninterrupted. The Muslim aspect of it depicts the danger part of it perfectly. Like, you just bring up the Muslims and it depicts the dangers of moral relativism or cultural relativism. That's what you guys are asking for. We see it all the time in the Muslim world. Like, people like Sam Harris are helping
this guy's just a complete shit talker.
He has a talking point that no one is arguing against. Yes, it's a big problem. America and Americans don't stick their nose in other people's business, and we should do more of it. You're right.
Yeah, that's true. Yep, we never stick our nose in anybody.
Amen. So you keep pointing out what you call problems. So what are your solutions?
Oh, you asked me, though.
What are your solutions?
Well, the solution would be to show people, try not to get too authoritarian and kill people. Like, if we have to, we have to. But
So
we're
you're
going to try to...
We have to show.
This is what we do, right?
Do it.
It's already happening. What we do is we show people that our values are superior. We don't force it onto them. We show them. You mean by being in one of the most powerful countries in the world and broadcasting our culture all over the world in movies, magazine, print, visual media, internet? I mean, like we're already doing? What the fuck are you talking about, John? Of what I mean. When Muslims come over to America,
Why are you doing this?
they adopt our values because they feel like our values are superior.
Most of them do.
Maybe they're on their birthday on 100 whatever it is.
John, your argument is America. John.
Hold on, stop over talking. You guys are over
We don't want to hear you fucking monologue, dude. What the fuck?
I
pressure on some dumb shit we don't even think is a problem. What the fuck?
Yeah, I agree with concrete.
John, can you
I don't know who asked the question anymore. He's just
John, just answer my question. I just posted something in chat. Is that valid? Fritz is a bachelor, therefore Fritz has no wife.
I'm not reading that shit. That's not Oh my goodness. Oh man. That has nothing to do with what I was trying to bring up. Listen, we all
John, can you tell me if that's that is to do with what you brought up? It's to do with his fallacy, whatever.
I'm not talking about the result at the moment. I was trying to answer, I was asked like 3 questions, and they were good questions.
And they were
I never really got to answer them. If I got to answer them, it would have just I could have just left. Because it would have just been able to summarize everything. He asked me, why is moral relativism so dangerous, and what's the solution? Right? No one even fucking knew what my answers were. That's so sad. Like, you guys are just fucking yelling.
Well, that's a bad question, but I'd rather not hear that.
Who even asked that question? I don't even know anymore. I find out for a little bit.
I think you
I don't think
Who even
anybody
asked
asked
the
that question.
I never heard that question.
Oh, man.
Skinny Pete
Much
asked that
more
dumbass question.
question.
Look, it's not our fault. That's goddamn squirrel, okay?
About John.
Run on.
I like it that he thinks skinny
You don't want, like,
because he has a southern accent.
So in other words, like, just have a closing statement for
Closing
won't take
statement.
long. But like the whole point of this
Why
conversation.
are you giving closing statements? Nobody's arguing.
Oh shit!
I mean, I think you guys are ready to start powder casting.
Concrete with the zingers.
Oh man, like that was needed. That was needed. Thank you for that. We should call it powder pegging from now on.
Crowder pegging.
I'm really disappointed in your attention span. I'm the one with the fucking You're disappointed Daddy didn't track off in your mama's mouth, and we don't have to listen to your stupid ass.
Oh shit! We gotta go.
John.
Like jerking off to like a horse that's like a cartoon. That's like your thing. That's fun, dumbass. That's fun, dumbass. That's fun, you stupid son of a bitch. No, I thought it was. Oh no. Oh, you're right. That is the last thing. One last thing is a little different.
You fucked up.
He likes like anime dogs and wolves. They're like obviously porgs.
Oh my god.
If I remember correctly,
John, you're like refusing to let anybody engage with you.
if I remember correctly, the thing that Wolf God would post all the time was tranny wolves. Pretty sure that's what it was. Yeah, fucking degenerates around here, man.
How many cars do you have today, John?
Well, didn't you say you like to fuck little girls? Didn't you say that? No, I'm pretty sure you did. I think we asked Declan that. They're just confirming. But,
Listen,
yeah,
you guys just go back to claiming Sam Harris is fucking dumb.
That's the best sex you had when you were 13. That's what you said.
Sam Harris
is dumb. Just wrong.
People even like
Sam Harris is pretty dumb. Oh, there it is.
I mean, you guys can argue about that. But I'm telling you, it's really disappointing none of you have really gotten into these issues that much. These are such cookie cutter issues, like Sam Harris's goal. What does he do?
Okay, John, okay, here we go. Round 4, repeating the same thing. Thanks.
Cookie cutter spot for the bingo.
Well, I just want to keep showing. I mean, I just want to, because I actually, I'm aware just how fucking wrong you guys can get Sam Harris. It's just absurd that you guys so arrogantly talk shit about the guy. You don't even know his goal. Some people consider him to be doing a really good job. A lot of people, actually, but
Oh, I'm
I'm just
still
saying, if you guys
doing
act
this.
like you're
What's
so
the point,
passionate
right?
about these
You
ideas,
guys are just hearing this.
Just to summarize real quick, what's the
what's the
difference between
point?
the proposition the tree exists and the proposition I like ice cream different? John.
you said some shit that it was like mind dependent. You were talking about
Yeah, mind dependency, right? So, and which one's the realist and which one's the anti-realist?
the tree is the realist, I think.
Okay. And you think
That's
that,
another thing
and you
that
think,
confuses me.
John, hold on, let's just keep going. So you think that what is good in the same way that the tree exists?
Well, yeah, I think so, but I told you what my confusion is here.
So
It's
you
the way
don't
like,
think
consciousness.
that it's dependent on goals at all.
Well, I don't want to be too Alan Watts or anything, but I understand that our consciousness is a part of the universe. The tree is a part of the universe. We're all one. Like, it just muddies the waters, and it's just other ways of interpreting these things.
No, it's different sense, Jen. Don't start muddying. You're muddying the waters right now. Do you think that your morality or any morality is dependent on goals?
I think that the goals, like when you say goals, I think like this is where I would insert the pragmatism. I would say the goals are
John, pragmatism, mind dependent.
goal. This is what Matt Dillon.
Okay then, so we're not in the same way as the tree. Do you think the tree exists dependent on goals?
Yes, but like this is
Yes.
Wait, John, stay on that.
like there's gonna be like the
John, you think that the tree exists by a mind, dependent on a mind? You think that there's a mind that is?
panpsychism, right? This is why I told you what.
So you're a panpsychist. So you're a panpsychist now, John?
I've told you that's the most accurate interpretation of reality. It's the only reason why I bring it up.
You're actually a panpsychist.
The physicist.
So you think that the tree? So you think that the lightning?
These are a little bit more complex than you give off.
So you think the lightning desires to hit the tree?
Like obviously, there would be a complete concept revision, or not even. I don't know if you'd call it that, but we would just mean something else by desire. Just like the panpsychism means something else by conscious.
Why would you mean something else?
Why am I making a video with this on it?
Because
You
the
know,
tree
after that
or the lightning
golden
would have
conversation
desires,
I
but maybe
had
not the way you would think.
with
Like, maybe
Kristen,
these idiots would say,
why would I
"How do you wanna
can
call them
carry,
idiots?" Right? 'Cause
What do you mean idiots? You're one of them.
can carry,
it's-
carry on,
it just seems
with
like a
this one.
far-fetched idea. That's what I meant by it. But it's like
right?
the lightning
what you
would
believe.
have
It's happened to be painting.
consciousness
What, you guys
and
want to see my
desires,
face go squirrely while I'm painting? How fun is that? All right, you
Repeat that
guys
again.
want to listen? Fine.
So the lightning might have desires
Okay,
because
let's
it's
see.
conscious.
And what do you mean by desires?
Anyone
It might
other than
have
Faith the Grace,
like,
chatting still, careful, still nothing.
like
Think we're down.
I don't
Think
know.
we're done.
It would have intentionality.
One
things
watching.
Like that. It would have some
What's
kind
the
of
point?
intentionality or some shit.
What's
But
the
the
point?
whole reason why I'm bringing this up is because
So that being
a lot
said,
of
Let's just make sure. So you think the
gotta,
tree
they gotta end
can
it.
have? You think the
Appreciate
you
y'all
think the
watching
tree
and this and that.
can have a desire
And
for
that
things in the
and
future?
this and that.
Well, you can
And
have
that and this.
thought
And this
processes
and
for things in the future.
yeah, in a certain way, but obviously if you're talking
Oh,
about these
so
things
tree
like
painting
under
so
different
far.
degrees of consciousness,
Where it's
So
at.
just like I said, a tree wants a certain state of affairs to come into being. You're gonna just keep asking the same question over and over, or are you gonna make a reputation? Well, I'm getting it to make